Hey everybody, gonna jump right into this and get to my review of Edward Lee's House Infernal. This is one of the worst books I've read in recent memory. I reviewed Soul Taker for Brian Smith. That was bad, but it was like 3 times better than this. It says right on the cover, "The Living Legend of Literary Mayhem. Read him if you dare." Richard Lehman, author of the Midnight Tour. I cannot believe that Richard Lehman or anybody would actually say that about this book. I mean, I did read. It also says author of Slither. I did read Slither, and that one was good. But I also read the Golem, and I read some of his other books. I read the Golem, Brides of the Impaler. And those were bad, but not as bad as this. It also says Edward Lee's writing is fast and mean as a chainsaw revved to full tilt. I don't even know what that means. And that's by Jack Ketchum, who's a great writer. It says Lee is the one who crosses the line. I guess that could mean anything, like crosses the line of how bad a writer he is, or at least for this book. But man, Edward Lee, this was really. I did not know what the book was about until page 250, or what like the main plot line was. Look at him, man. The characters were terrible. At least I mean, no development for any of them. I get one of the main characters is named Venetia. She's like a Bible student, or she's thinking about being a nun, but they just describe her almost like a porn star. Big tits, blonde hair, like great ass. Just everyone just stares at her body and fantasizes about it. They really had to drive that home. Part of the book is going on down in hell, in a city called Mephistopheles. That I guess was kind of inventive, but it seemed like it was trying to be like really like blasphemous and gross and disgusting, and like, hey, look at, like, it just seems like, oh, look at this part of hell. This part of the city's made out of blood. This part's made out of shit, and it just seemed too childish and like trying to be evil and scary, and it was just foolish, I thought. Let's see what other it says. Lee pulls no punches. The hardest of the hardcore horror writers. Lee excels at creativity and almost trademark depictions of violence and gruesomeness. No, it's terrible. The last 100 pages, I was just reading it just to get through it. I really wasn't paying attention. There's a band called Ghoul, and each of their albums kind of tells a story, which are 10 times more entertaining, gorier, funny than this garbage. I just finished it literally like 2 minutes ago, and I just had to do this video just to say, man, I wasted so much time reading this. I mean, it was so frustrating. There's really even, I mean, they do describe so much, like, I guess, gory horror stuff that's going on in hell, but it had no effect. Because it's so much. There's a couple of lines in the book that made me laugh, or I thought, oh, that's cool, but maybe for the book is 369 pages. Maybe there was like one, like all put together, there was like one page of writing that I found interesting. It's terrible. The worst. I can't think, off the top of my head, I can't think of a worse book that I've read. Here's, look at my Young Blood bookmark. But Jesus Christ, this is like torture. It was like just a punishment. I was actually reading it pretty quickly when I first started it, was okay. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll get better. And then, like, there were a couple of days I just didn't read. I was reading comics, some Punisher comics, some Red Robins, some Spideys. Way better. Even actually, not even that good, but way better than this garbage. Man, and I hope Edward Lee. You probably won't see this, but dude, I've read some of your other books. Like I said, I really like Slither, but I guess that doesn't mean much when I'm trashing this book. Like, I'm gonna use it to trade. I would just throw it away, but maybe I can use it like to get another book, maybe from Nine Lives Books. And the cover is cool. It'll probably fool someone in to read. The only reason I got it is because I was in a book club and this came to me, and like this, everyone speaks so highly of Edward Lee. Man, maybe his book The Backwoods is good. That sounds cool. And I actually got this from the book club. This is The Black Train, another book by him. And I'll read it just because I have so many books. I need to start reading them. But oh my, like, and I think, I don't know. I think I can't remember if I reviewed The Golem or Brides of the Impaler. And I know I did the same thing, reading the descriptions of how great he is and just being like amazed that they must pay people to say these things. They must have paid Richard Lehman and Jack Ketchum. I can't honestly believe that they think he's a good writer, especially when they're so good. Jack Ketchum, he's really good. I have a couple of his books that I need to read. Oh my God, I can't even. It's not even worth describing what the story is because there's no sense in reading it. Read some Richard Lehman. Read whatever Stephen King. Read anything like. Oh, and it just makes me not want to read. I look at the books that I have and I was like, man, is this going to be as terrible as House Infernal? But I feel really good that I've finished it. It was like such a chore. So terrible. Horrible. Just like nothing good in it. Like his descriptions of hell just seem worse than like any movies depiction. Like the worst movie depiction of hell that I've seen, I can't even remember, are way better than this. It's just so much detail, but of nothing. Let's see, what else can I say bad about it? I don't know. It was just a waste of time. I dreaded picking it up to finish. How many times I could say it was the worst book? Might be the worst book I've ever read. It's boring. Thought it was. Like I said, I didn't know what was going on till page 250, and by then I didn't care. Again, like a good writer, I'm gonna start reading this by Richard Lehman. You know, Lehman's books, like, do you feel them leading towards something, some climax, some finale, like an end, and you want to get to it? Oh, this is just nothing. Like, this could go on for another 1,000 pages, or 10, and it wouldn't matter. Jesus, I think this might be the last Edward Lee book. I got all my books up there. I'll just read them just to get them out of my life. Man, Edward Lee, again, what did you do? How could and it could have been like 200 pages. Okay, that's enough of bashing Edward Lee. House Infernal. Read Slither. If you want to read like a good book from him. I thought Slither was really good. I thinking about that, I was like, that was so much fun compared to this atrocity of the English, of the written English language in book form. Man, and then when I was reading this, I just saw his 68 Kill movie that they made from one of his books. That was way better than this, and that actually kind of sucked. But, okay, Edward Lee, House Infernal. Just, if you see it, just forget about it. I'm sorry, I haven't read it.